I realized something had changed while eating my lunch. Suddenly, I thought that maybe I was seeking something. As for what kind of thing, I had no idea. Not an inkling to its temperature, size, color, shape, and whether it was even a tangible object. I had no idea. This sudden thought came out of thin air, then filled my surroundings. The thought, the feeling of seeking. It was so vague, so subtle, yet so solid. I put down the knife and fork, held my coffee cup up with both hands, and tried to sort my own thoughts. On the concept of seeking, there are various ideas that came to mind, like the snow on TV. There is no way to integrate it into a complete image. How can a field of random pixels form an image? I don't know if what I wanted is a specific thing or whether it was the process of seeking, or I wanted to seek something that is more inexplicable. The whole thing is so mysterious. I tried my best to put it into a reasonable way, but still lacked a strict logical structure. I can only confirm that it was about seeking. I have lived here for a long time, long enough to know every single tile on the ground, every blemish on the staircase handrail. I know this place so well that I have been able to wander to infinite distance with my eye closed. Far away, in the direction of my living room faces, there were people who speak different languages. They have a saying in their language that describes a certain age as a line, a division between two distinct periods of life, and the latter is called no more confusion. Which age is that exactly? I can't remember clearly, but I'm sure that this is definitely not the age that I has just crossed, as my confusion is at its peak. Now when I recall this saying, I'm full of curiosity. I wondered what the feeling of happiness that might lead to be in a state of no more confusion. Speaking of such saying, I subconsciously looked out the window of my living room. I was surprised to find that the light outside the window seems to be a little brighter. Outside of my window were just other living units. They all used the same light bulb as me, a light that held no brightness adjustment, just on and off. Walking out of the balcony, regardless where you looked, there will merely be endless windows and staircases. Without a unified light source, no one was capable of increasing the brightness of the space. This made me feel a little uncomfortable. I have lived in this home since I can remember. With the exclusion of some troubling experiences, most parts of my life have been consumed in this space. I'm very familiar with every light source here, even brightness. Even for the place I've been to, the light and brightness are very predictable, so the fact of something just lit up outside the window is as abnormal as finding out the entire tower was flipping over. Where did the increased brightness come from? Interestingly, after a brief period of tension, I found the atmosphere to be eerily relaxing. Once I accepted this brightness, it seemed like there was nothing that could go wrong. There is nothing left to do today, so I just let myself stare out the window. After a long while, I lifted the coffee cup again and find that it was cold. The light outside the window was a little brighter, and from the original uncertainty as to whether the brightness had increased, I now know that it had increased a lot. Speaking of the feeling of seeking, it was actually not that extremely unexpected. I had a faint feeling before, one that told me that once the age crossed a certain demarcation, the perception of seeking would be drastically different. This was not really a prophecy to my future. On the contrary, it was more of a vivid script describing some fact that had already occurred. Every time I told myself so, or discussed this with my friends, I felt unreliable and funny. Nevertheless, the thought remains. I stopped writing it down or talk about it in order to try to avoid the unavoidable feeling of iffiness. Can't tell if it is expected but it seems that I had already crossed this line of demarcation. I asked myself if I would like to seek information behind this light, but a relaxed soul does not give an answer. Instead, it recalls an image of a boy with headphones, listening to Bach's chromatic fantasy and fugue in D minor, with his eye closed, conjuring the thoughts that a girl had on him, assuming that he could comprehend the whole world. Perhaps I have no interest in this light. I just wanted to look at it, let it fill the space I lived in and soothe me. As for its source, its attributes, its temperature, its shape, its information, I was not interested anymore. Much like the feeling after a few mouthfuls of fine red wine, I wanted to stay soothed. Then the intensity of the light increased exponentially, spilling in from the window, and then refract countless times, confusing everything in front of me. It was like being in a bath full of warm water, and I did not want to open my eyes. I no longer wanted to care about times or about the act of seeking. I raised one hand in front of me, stretched out all 5 fingers, lifted a distance from me, and watched it get blurry gradually. Even pleasure did not matter. Brighter and brighter, the white gradually covers the whole world, until nothing can be seen anymore.